This area right here, a lot of farms and farmland. Things like marshmallow and corn cob, a lot of healing stuff, food. Saltress, quick wheat. We also have to eat while we do this.
Are you all right, Paladin? You might have a healer attend to those wounds.
Where are the Kakuti? Oh. There we go. Well, I guess we'll get the guy and bring him to you. Meeting Kakuti.
Yes, stranger?
I should probably raise my microphone so people can't hear me chew. Poor little feller. Serrano Ancestral Tomb. I think there's an ebony helm in there. We don't have to get that right now. That's part of the quest. Oh, one second. Interesting. Okay, where are we? Still haven't explored this area yet, but most of that might be mountains, so that's okay.
You flatter me with your attention, Outlander.
A sincere welcome to you.
You're in good company, friend. Welcome.
We need to open up the other chest at the Fighters Guild as long as we got a little time on our hands.
Well, I find myself in pleasant company. Please share your thoughts.
And let's sell. We don't want to sell our big stuff, but we are going to sell, like you. Nordic, silver. Forgot we got to repair some stuff.
The pleasure is all mine.
Alright. Oof. Man, our fatigue sucks.
Welcome, friend. The day is yours. What shall we talk about?
1,300 times 4. That's about 12. Good. Yeah, we can give the rest of this to the scamp. Oops. Damn. Might have to sit on this for a while. Let's do the helm. And let's go down to 65. And let's do you. That's down by 10,000. We can go. For sure, we can go down to 25 at least. That might take a second, but we'll get there. Oh. I think this might be one thing, actually, that might be a problem as far as the whole perfect game theory. There are certain little things like this that make it a little difficult. at 30. Let's try. Ugh, that was too easy.
Greetings and salutations.
So I got that for 24. Let me see what I could sell it for. I could sell it for 29. Wow. Ooh. Might be able to. Might be able to do a little bit of trading now. Let's go back down to. Let's go to 20. Not 20. To 24. Let's do 20. 24 happened pretty fast. We could probably go down to 20-ish. And this is why stealing is so popular. See, at this point I could sell some stuff to pretty much every merchant, buy it back for cheaper, sell it back for higher, and just drain all their accounts pretty quickly. People ask, does adding gold to the vendors make the game a little broken? No. The game was always broken. It just speeds it up. Alright, let's try that. Oof. Five. That, okay. Well. Ten and 10. Ten. That might work. Oh, I was trying to do... Oh, that makes sense. I gotta buy shit from him. Let's go down to 20. This is pretty time consuming if I'm being honest too. Wish there was a way to like click on a number or type something in. Wow. That's pretty awesome. Trollbone, trollbone. So we're saving 5 grand on that. All right. And then we're going to sell all of our shit back. Barter. You got 40. Let's sell both of you guys. And you. Let's do a max sale. Boom. So we got all the money. Got the adamantium. And we are good to go. Back and plop down our adamantium helm and the armor. I could also just go to Alderaan and steal those, but Where's the master trainer in athletics? That's probably someplace that we should go.
Why walk when you can run?
You flatter me.
Oh, greetings.
Greetings to you. A pleasure to meet you.
Oh, we could do the Proplon indexes. That's a great idea. That's a good idea.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, by far the fastest way to do all this is just stealing shit. Okay. So now what do we want? I do kind of want to train athletics, but if we train a bunch of athletics and marksmen, our level's going to skyrocket. I think axe, blunt weapon, more for the strength, would be good. Hand to hand just for the extra speed. And yeah, let's do that. Axe, blunt weapon, and hand to hand. I don't have to go max on axe and blunt
Keep
weapon.
moving. How
But-
can I help?
It would be nice to have at least 50 in them.
Oh,
You honor
Gotta go. I think we checked in Alderaan and Balmora. Let's see if anybody here has spells like Mark.
I'd be happy to talk. My pleasure, really.
No. No. But do you have restore health? No, you don't. Okay. That's fine. Oh. Those have hide. Okay, Mark is what we wanted. Keep
Welcome.
training you.
If you wish to talk, it
Okay.
is really no problem.
Welcome, Nord. It would be a pleasure to speak with you.
Alright, let's do Balmora first, see if we can get any
Go
training
ahead,
here.
please. Tell me about yourself.
Primarily need the
Oh,
axe.
greetings. How do you do?
Caius does hand to hand,
You flat.
actually. We should go mess with him.
Three blessings.
If I'm allowed to sleep in his bed for a second. Okay. Alright. You do have hand to hand.
You seem like very good company.
Acrobatics is speed. Acrobatics is speed and hand-to-hand. So there's only 3 abilities that do speed. I think there's 3 that do personality, but there's more that do intelligence. I think strength, endurance are the main top ones. We're just doing this because it's one of those things you have to use occasionally, and as long as we're gonna have it, we might as well have it up. I don't know what his hand-to-hand goes up to, but we'll either go up to 50-ish, or if it can go higher, we'll probably go higher. Well, good for you guys. Don't want to get into a fist fight with you. Damn, is he in the 70s? Oh wow. Alright, 70 is fine. 70 is actually okay. Oof.
Well met, friend.
What do you do? Medium block, okay. We need blunt and axe. Not 9 toes. Alright. Somebody at some fighter's guild should have axe, and another should have blunt weapon.
Well, I find myself in pleasant company. Please share your
There
thoughts.
we go. Good man. We're not even doing these for the skills, we're doing it for the stats.
Stay as long as you like. It would be a privilege to talk with you.
down here good at axes. I think she's a spear. And who knows what he is? Okay.
Hello there.
Does blunt. There's like trainers everywhere. I don't even know who they all are.
Well, friend, what brings you here?
Do you want something from me?
Short blade sneak. Okay. Who does blunt? I mean axe. Well, Fighter's Guild is an axe. That's one of its main things, so one of these Fighters Guilds somewhere has to be somebody who does axe training.
Share your thoughts, friend.
Let's go
I enjoy
Alderaan
the company.
first. There's more people there.
Welcome.
Oh, up there's a lady that has a full set of adamantium in a chest. Just gotta go get it. Sneak, block, medium armor. Nobody. Ooh, a trainer. Ah, there we go. There we go. All right, buddy. We're
May
gonna
each
butter
day
you up
greet
and then
you
train
warmly,
some
friend.
axe. Okay. You can't train very much in blunt. Maybe axes pretty high. This should help with our carrying capacity. What do we do now? Oh, ready to play the game? 49, okay. Oh, what are you doing up here, man? How'd you get all the way up here?
How nice. I like good company. What can I do for you? What?
How about sharing the wealth?
Greetings,
I
honored friend.
Damn. Ah, there we are. Strength. Luck. And let's go with... let's go with intelligence. We're going to need some of that someday. Cold feeling. He's in the room next to us. Where is he? Excellent. That's nice. Okay. All right. It's time to continue with our exploration of the coast.
Well, I find myself in pleasant company. Please share your thoughts.
But first, what should we buy? Hand, short
Yes.
blade.
What do you want?
I think a little marksman and a little short blade would be smart.
What did I do to deserve this honor?
As a marksman. Little marksman. Not a lot. I think getting it up to 50 would be ideal.
Is there something I can do for you, Outlander?
Stay as long as you like, friend. It would be a privilege to talk with you.
No marksman there, but there's some black.
day. Do you seek my services?
Our sugar is yours, friend.
Well, does marks. Whatever we do, we have to go to Creeper. Put a mark down. So let's do that right now.
I don't know where to begin.
Ah! One second. Hello?
Gave us O.
Oh, I'm playing Morrowind.
Oh, good boy. Sorry. No, to answer your question, Bitcoin was just migrating between 44,000 and 40,000, bouncing up and down. It's currently 43,700. Dex is just muddling along. They're supposedly reaching out to have some marketing thing where they've partnered with, I don't know if you're familiar with D-Bank, but they have some kind of API integration access to them. And basically they can individually target, like, look into what people are farming, target them, and send them a message through D-Bank saying, like, hey, we noticed you're on this farm here. Why don't you try our farms? And we can, it's more efficient and better fees. And so they're working on trying to, pull people away using that type of marketing, which seems like it could be a good thing. But yeah, right now they're just building, and that's it. They have a new UI they're working on. They've added Avalanche
Ooh.
as a farm thing, but they don't really have that many farms yet. They're just kind of floating. I mean, like, I think they're trying to add new farms, but they like got the exchange that they're using for, like, Arbitrum, for example, is Wombat, and like Wombat doesn't have any liquidity, so it's like, this seems kind of to me, versus like Sushi Swap has, lots of liquidity, and anyways. So they just need to add more farms. I think it's just really slow going. But I mean, it's it's cool what they're attempting to do, but they're just muddling about. GDEX is $30, like it's been for forever. Locus is, when I jumped in, it was $2.80. Now it's $2.40, 48 cents.
If you were to do trading or switch into it now, would you get more locus or less locus than you did before because of the price?
Well, it's not about, you get the one-to-one equivalent of Midas tokens, right?
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So basically, when we got fucked over at Midas, they basically, I think it was $30, something like that. That I mean, it was 124,000 for me, and now it's, you know, if I were to get out now, I would get about 10,000. And then you could theoretically realize that as a loss. The problem is you need to stake it for 30 days before you can withdraw and sell it for no fees. So I mean, basically, what it seems like happening is, folks that have staked it early, back in, November, are now going to try and, I mean, like, are probably getting out of it and might be selling it. Yeah, there's just not a lot of, like, the new Locust platform is, I haven't looked at it for a minute, but yeah, so Locust staking APY is 20%. And the total staked Locust is 5, point something million. But they just don't have, they have 4 farms, and it's like, two of them are on Ethereum, and it's just so, I mean, like, it would cost me, $300 to pull out my, $75, and I mean, just like, it just makes no sense why anybody would be operating through Ethereum. They have a omni-chain thing. I mean, like, they're just.
Wait. Just think about how expensive it might be if you don't pull out. Nah. All right. Go on.
Anywho, no, I mean, like, there's anyway. So I mean, I have no idea. I mean, basically, yeah, I don't know. I mean, basically, to me, what Locust, the Locust staking APY, they're giving you more Locust, but, like, it's basically the tomb thing, where it's like it's emissions based. So
More
there's
fake
constant.
Money.
Well, I mean, it's like I mean, like, in order to pay the APY that they're paying, they have to continue to print more Locust.
Yeah.
And it or emit more Locust, which destroys the price. And then if people sell, then that, I mean, like, there's no, it's not bringing in, like, what? I mean, shoot, they've got they've got, how much do they have under? Yeah, I mean, they've got less than about 1 million total volume locked in their vaults. Well, I guess 1.26 million locked in their vaults, which is like, which is less than Dex Finance. I mean, like, coming from a platform that at one point had 300 million in total volume, like, I don't know. I don't see them being able to compete with other staking platforms. Like, I mean, I don't know. I like Dex Finance, and I like that, that you can kind of automatically take your profit and then you can put it into the thing of your choice. But the their interface is, I don't think it's very good.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at, like, Beefy Finance.
I've never looked at Beefy Finance.
Well, I mean, like, you don't have to. I'm just saying, like, they're, they show you, what is this? Yeah, like, they're on tons of chain, like, most of the chains, Ethereum, Polygon, BNB, Optimism, Phantom, Arbitrum, Avalanche, Chronos. Like, they're on all the things. Kanto, Kava, ZK, EVM, Base. Anyway, so they're on all the things, and, like, their interface is, like, it shows you, what you've deposited, the APY, and it's just, like, it's very simple to see, like, what's what's in there. Versus, like, I go back to Dex Finance, and it's just like, it's too much information. And I think the problem with Dex Finance is because they allow you to create so many, like, you can create, like, a vault of, like, 20 farms. which on its face is kind of cool, but it just means that they have to display a lot more information. So it makes to me, it seems like it makes their interface more clunky.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Anywho.
And nothing new with Vault. We're just going to be waiting on collection stuff, or.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're waiting. They're waiting on basically the bankruptcies to be finalized for, 3 other companies. Like, I don't know if it's a bank. I mean, like, there's FlipVolt. There's the loan from CoinLoan, which I highly doubt they'll get back. And then there's like the big one. It's like 120 million from somewhere else, and it's just like, part of me is just kind of like, well, shit. Like, would we have just been better off doing the RDA? Because I think we got, 25% of our stuff back, if that.
Yeah.
But like, we could have RDA'd and got, immediately 45% back. And I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it could be I mean, like, the sad thing is, my anticipation is that we won't get stuff back for the next at most 1 year to more likely in 2 years. But I mean, we're heading into the theoretically the next bull run with the next halving and ETFs being approved. And it's like the double whammy of that is going to send Bitcoin stratospheric. So I mean, like, looking at 100,000 per Bitcoin, and we're getting paid in dollar value of Bitcoin at 17,000. So it's just like, as the higher it goes, the less actual. I mean, like, we would get somewhat our dollar value back, right? But not, the token value back, if any of that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, you get like, I had 20 Bitcoin, so like I RDA for 45%, something like that. I mean, like, I don't know what it would have. I mean, like, it looked like, the average RDA was like 45%. So it's like, instead of getting, I got 5 back, for this last time, I would have got, 8.5, 9 back. But if we don't get, I mean, like, so yeah, I mean, like, at at the price that we got it back, I mean, like, get 8.5 back, right? But I mean, if Bitcoin goes to 100,000, it's like those 3 Bitcoins already make up the dollar value that I would have gotten back. I mean, I don't know. It's just hard to know.
Yeah.
But in any case, yeah, if Bitcoin goes over 200,000, I'll buy a house through you.
Oh, good. I think that would be much better use of our time to do the house stuff, and have everyone live together, and then we could do the business and go for walks and be healthy.
Fuck, Beefy's got 10 million or 190 million in total volume. Beefy Finance says.
Yeah.
190 times what Dex Finance has. Almost. 160, whatever.
I see. I see. Yeah. Well, that's all very disappointing.
Yeah, no, it's not the greatest of news. Yeah, I keep waiting for them to add more Arbitrum farms. I mean, the only thing that's, you know, doing remotely okay for me is this stupid, whoops, stupid Spark Swap thing.
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you?
Oh, kitty, you're so fluffy. Um, let's just see. Yeah, so like,
Stay as long as you like. It would be a privilege.
let's see. Yeah, so I put in, where did you go? Put in $3,000 and, you know, it's making, it's a stable farm and it's US Dex and die. And it's, you know, making about $5 a day.
Hmm.
$6 a day, which, I mean, for that, I mean, like, who knows if I'll be able to withdraw it. Because I, you know, when they had the big, they partnered with the DGen Brains thing, there was a, you know, US USDC and USDT farm that was like paying like, you know, 900%. So I jumped in that. But when I tried to withdraw out of it, the price impact was so huge. It was like I was losing 15% every time I had to withdraw like 20 times. So that, and each time was like 15% of the amount. It was just like, so I lost in what should have been a stable farm. You know, I lost a bunch of money, but whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've made like $200 on this thing and Spark. Interesting.
Oh,
Anywho,
all sounds pretty awful.
yeah, it's not the best of news for sure. Um, yeah, GDEX is paying 2% and US Dex is paying 10%. Anywho, that's all I have to say about that.
Well, fun.
Yeah.
Very fun. Very fun.
I think the other thing that kind of frustrates me about these things is like what's link.e and waveax? Like what the fuck? I mean, like, it's just so dumb. Like, I don't know. If I'm gonna create a vault,
It's better just
I'm
to get out of all that shit.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, see?
Mm-hmm.
But like, where's optimism? like optimism's been doing okay. Anywho, that's what's going on.
Well, that all sounds wonderful.
How's Morrowind?
Well, I haven't lost any money playing it.
I suppose that's true.
But yeah, we're gonna try to get out of the house soon, and hopefully the market doesn't crash too bad before we try to sell the place. But this is as far as Phoenix goes, unless you're in an insanely good neighborhood, like this place has a ton amount of land. It's a huge house. It's pretty nice, so we shouldn't sell it for less than we paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on what happens with the stuff from Grandma, as far as that, we're probably gonna try to get a house, a little small place, and I mean, I'd be happy doing like a little 2-bedroom kind of thing. I mean, just a temporary small house for a while we, do that, and then I think, I was chatting with Mom, it might make more sense to take well, I don't know how much we can talk about all that because I'm recording things right now, but the house business that we talked about.
Yeah.
There's a couple of places that are cheaper. So, because this house is pretty expensive. So if we can get a place that's 150 grand less, we may not even need a loan.
That could be good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we'll just have to see. But yeah, I'm gonna
Oh, kitty.
renew a few leases today, and I need to go start an eviction process for a few people.
Oh, what's going on with that?
Oh, just
Not
I
paying?
need to check the bank account, but it's one of the we might be looking at like 2 people that aren't paying.
Hmm.
And part of the problem is we kind of raised the rent on the 3 bedrooms, which there's nothing wrong with that, but the problem was
They couldn't afford it.
people couldn't afford it, and so we ended up getting people in that probably shouldn't have been in there.
Oof.
Or they, just people didn't want to live in that bad area, so.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that's going to be probably 2 evictions. So it's, I don't know.
How far are they behind?
One of them hasn't paid for this month, and another person didn't pay for last month and this month. And
When did they move in?
November.
Oh, wow.
So last month, the thing is, they had the rent allegedly, and then they said it was stolen or whatever, and
Oh, this was the bank cashier's check thing, and then
yeah. And then yeah, so it was just like, all right, well, they said like they're going to check for a certain amount, and then they had the check, and then they went to go deposit it or get money out, but they had to wait for it to clear. And so it's just, I mean, after a certain point, you're just like, I mean, we're just being fucked with.
yeah.
But she has like 6 kids living at her house, which is another thing. She said there's going to be like 3 or 4 people total, and it could be as high as 8. Who knows?
Oh wow.
But
Are they all her kids?
I don't know. I don't know. So that's just a little unfortunate. But what we're going to do next time is we're just going to have the rent be lower, have everyone pay what they're supposed to pay.
So, if you don't mind me asking, so folks moved in before money was collected?
Well, no, one of them moved in with first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit, but they had a third party pay for them. They had a an assistance program pay for them, and but then after the people got evicted before, and then the stuff with this person, with these other people, I gave them a letter immediately. Like after they said that they could pay on the 7th, and I said that's fine, there won't be a late fee. And then I came to this on the 7th to take care of stuff, and they didn't have the thing, and they didn't want to get it out of the bank or go to the money order place because it cost like him $40 to do that. And so I was actually drove him to the place to try and help him because I'm just trying to get money into the accounts. And then I called them the next day, and they said that they were going to have it at lunch, and I went down there and they weren't at home. So I put a letter on their door saying, like, you have, this is
3 days pay or vacate or whatever.
This is your notice to pay or vacate, and so we'll just see. And she said, "Oh yeah, I got the letter. I'll do whatever you want me to do." And she always says "sir" a lot of times, and is very complimentary. And of course, I'm getting the impression that that's just a
tactic.
That's a tactic to put someone at ease.
Oh.
But I don't know. It's you don't know until it's done. But she technically didn't have to pay the first month she moved in. She had somebody else pay it. So that's last month and this month that she didn't have to pay any rent, technically. So she should have the money. But yeah, I don't know. And then the other one is just like, there's just problems with payments, this or that, and thing. I don't know. I don't want to say delay tactics because I thought it was fairly genuine, but maybe I'm just naive or tired or stupid. I don't know. So I can't find this Propylon index. Ugh. But
well, that sucks, buddy. I'm sorry.
No, it's not the end of the world. It's just that, but that's the great thing about having a place that's paid for.
Yeah.
So, it'd be. But when we got into the place, the 2 back units they were renting for like $1,000 for the 2 bedrooms, and then the front units were renting for like I think $1,150. Like it was pretty low, right? So we were trying to raise the rents and get things squared away, but even if we raised the rents from like the last people that were living there, we raised their rent up to $1,400, and they were there
from what?
I think they were originally at $1,150, so we raised it to $1,250, and then we raised it to $1,400. But the market value of the rents on those places is probably closer to $1,800 or $2,000. But it's just because of all the homeless in the area. It's
Oh, this is in
Laurel.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so I didn't want to sell it because it's so nice, and I don't know if we can. But the house next to it, the owners were selling it because there was a drug trafficking ring being moved like out of there. So there's a bunch of police there, and like a few days ago at the unit of the person that I'm going to try to evict, one of her sons got stabbed, and she said it was from a homeless person, but there was like 8 cops there, and it's 99% like gang related.
Yeah.
So it's just it's sad that her son got stabbed, but it's also like, well, you have a bunch of kids that are there, and she's either never there, but nobody's paying any money, so it's who knows if they're even what's going on in there. So I'm not going back there. I'm just gonna do things through the court and yeah, but we got to be careful.
Yeah. Oof. Well, that sounds like not a tremendous amount of fun.
Yeah. The next place it should be fine. And another thing for me to think about too is, I don't know, there's a whole range of stuff. Like the place, like in the last, like I think 3 or 4 years, that guy that's been living at Coronado, he's been paying $2,000 a month, or he's paying $1,800. We raised it to $2,000, and it's been that for like 2 years. He just pays on time, and we never hear from him.
Yeah.
And the lady that moved into the next place, she was saying that when he moves out, she wants to live in his house. So that's a pretty desirable area. And it's kind of like a house with a casita in the back. And that's why we started to look at that, going like, well, people want a yard, they want privacy, they want like something that's like a little home, and then they pay their own utilities. And if we get those in decent areas, we'll get the best people that we can, and it makes more sense. So that's why we're talking to you about, the whole casita thing, because I don't know what the price is going to be, but if you guys could get, $1 million for the property up there, you're looking at minimum of 3 properties, potentially 4 if you were open to, smaller places. But then you're looking at
nail.
I'm gonna say 3,000 to 3,500 per place. It's about $9,000.
Oy vey.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been sick. Ruby was sick. It's just a lot of stress from money stuff, property stuff, but I mean, and that's also kind of part of the thing is we've had some pretty good luck helping people out in the past, but at least at this place, we're looking at having 3 evictions in like, 4 months.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it.
It's a difficult thing, because like that's kind of the issue that we have in Renton. Like Renton and Bellevue are complete dichotomies of each other. Like Bellevue, I mean, like I hear just as much from people in Renton as I did in Bellevue, but the difference is that the folks in Bellevue are they pay on time. They're more reliable tenants in the sense of like they're working in tech, and it's a totally different clientele. Whereas like Laurel Lane, and I'm in sort of like Renton. I mean, Renton's gotten a little bit better, but like when I listed it for rent, like the only people that applied were hey, like I have terrible credit, and I just got out of prison. Like, can you rent me this place, or do you accept Section 8 and no income and 9 kids type thing? It's just like no, we don't. I want some. I mean, like, it was awful to lose Jordan, because it was just like the first person in that building was like, he was, good, great tenant, was able to afford the rent, never had any complaints. It was just super, super easy the way that it should be. It's like, oh, you need first last deposit? Great. Like, I can do that. And so when he was killed in his car accident, it was just, you know,
Oh wow,
besides him,
I remember that. Yeah, that's
well, I mean,
awful.
besides him just being a great guy, like, it was just like, oh crap. It's like, I have to find you know, another tenant, and, was on the was listed for a month before, you know, um, you know, and like, just a lot of, I don't know. And I guess the other thing, truthfully, is, there's just a lot of people. I don't know. It's kind of like a both type thing. Like, rents are just high in general, right? And like,
Hmm.
that's a function of supply, and that, I mean, it's just, there's, when you've got 6 million people coming over the border every year, it's, there's going to be an impact on housing wherever they end up going.
Yeah.
um and the population is growing, and we're not, it's really prohibitively expensive to build a new house type thing, and land is expensive, and people don't have enough money to, most people don't have enough money to buy a house, let alone, like, if you're starting out, it's like their only option is to rent. So that puts further pressure on supply and demand issues for rental housing.
Yeah.
Um, but the other problem is like, there's also a lot of people that, that, that also made a lot of really dumb personal choices too.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
and
moving into a
like,
place and then not paying for 2 months, and then being like, well, why are you evicting me?
well, I mean, like, and so, I mean, like, and it's like, people, of course, need a place to live, and like, that all makes sense. Like, they're, it, but it's like, you know, um, I don't know. It's like, if you, I don't know, I was listening to Mike Rowe the other day, and it's kind of like, minimum wage job isn't a career. It's the minimum wage job, if you're getting in, I mean, like, if you're getting into any career, I mean, like, any kind of journeyman or trade type thing, it's like, you're paid a wage while you learn how to build your career.
Yeah.
But flipping you know there's nothing wrong with flipping burgers, but that shouldn't be your goal. Like, that's a way that you would earn extra money while you're studying, or learning another skill, or learning something that puts you, that makes you useful. But you've got all these kids who, you know like we've talked about before, who kind of like, I mean, like we were, for lack of better, I mean, like, who are, the only path to success is that you have to get a college degree.
Hmm.
Like, and and then that's not necessary for a lot of people. And there's a huge demand. I mean, like, for an electrician to come out, I got, did this estimate yesterday, for an electrician to come out and run, 30 feet of wire, two separate wire, 15 feet, two outlets, and expand a, electrical box in a day's worth of work. It's five to $7,000
Jesus.
for a day's work. And just like, you know
Man,
but
that's
there's
expensive in Washington.
I mean, there's no, there's a bunch of, a bunch of useless liberal people up here who, don't have any real skills, and don't want to go into trades. And so, like, the trades are just making, I mean, like, and of, and costs in Washington, and in general, and places have gone up. I'm going to the kitchen real quick, grab something to eat. But like, and costs have, of course, gone up. And it's, you know things are getting more expensive. um and people, the electricians, like, they're, their gas didn't get any cheaper. You know, I mean, it's just things are getting more expensive, and there's not people are getting useless degrees, wondering why it's like they're highly educated but completely unqualified. To do any of the work that's available, and then you're saddling these people with you know 80 to 200 grand in debt.
But come on, it's
And
just like
then
this is why I think there's going to be a war. You're basically creating a bunch of people that are dead. They can't have families. They can't work, and they're resentful and angry. It's a
they're resentful.
manufactured crisis to create a society and a group of people that are not going to be able to do anything except like kill people that they hate because they have more than they do.
I don't. I mean, maybe. I think that I think that the intentionality with which you're. I mean, like, I think colleges became businesses, and they lobbied to I mean, like, basically lobbied the the education system to force people like to standardize to have people go through the college, because that made the college a shit ton more money, and then yeah, administration, and like it's just like a self-perpetuating thing. Like, it just became a societal dogmatic. I mean, like, you could make a
I'm not saying every part was meticulously planned. It doesn't have to be planned. A new innovation comes around, and it's just like the atom bomb. I'm not saying that like that they planned to have a bunch of people create this technology, but when it came out, what happened was it was utilized in a particular way that benefited certain people and created a Cold War for 50 years in an arms race. And I'm not saying that that's part of it. I'm just saying that just because I'm just saying that like it doesn't have to be a direct like laid out plan for everything.
It doesn't. I guess to me, it just doesn't really matter. Like, intentional, or like I mean, like, it is a system that was that has been taken advantage of, and has effectively, like you said, left people unable to have family. I mean, like, unable to have families, unable to participate, and then you get and then you can harness those people's frustrations and anger, and you can say, oh, it's capitalism, or it's Republicans or Democrats or the Jews, or the Mexicans are stealing I mean, like, you can harness that anger any which way you want.
Yeah.
But typically, if you're one of these people who went to college and went in with no idea what you're going to do and got a useless degree, you're usually going to be liberally minded, and you're going to be the story that is going to motivate you is that you were hoodwinked by capitalism or something. And
yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that completely. The reason I keep pushing the plan narrative, though, is because if one looks at everything as a sequence of causality, of this is happening, even whether there's chance or not chance, whether this is being encouraged or not being encouraged, it helps one prepare. Like with Disney, the idea that a company like one of like the top 10 largest companies in the world that is responsible for media generation for the entire planet is consciously destroying itself, and everybody involved knows that they're being destroyed from within, and it's not chance anymore. It's not like a mistake with one movie or one show. They are destroying themselves actively, and the people that are a part of it are taking money from it and also taking like pleasure from its destruction. And however you look at it, that is a trend, and it is something that can help us make plans with everything else, like with whether this is with college and what's happening there, or I mean, I was reading an article, in a newspaper, and it was basically saying that kids in England are being taught that there's 12-year-olds. They're being taught in the class about the pleasures of having anal sex, and it's better to do that with an adult that knows what they're doing. That's being taught.
Gross.
Well, what I'm saying is it's not that what was being taught 5 years ago is terrible or good or this or that. It's a thing that pops up. We're like, well, this is bad, but to get ahead of it, you have to look at the trajectory. And I won't be surprised if in the next 10 to 20 years there's a strong movement, because there's a movement right now for it, for like minor attracted people, like a push for the not just acceptance, but
I
for
think
the
that
pride
is
of
a
pedophilia.
tremendously like fringe type thing.
Well, no, this is I think that is not fringe at all. I think that is obvious.
I think most people don't agree with that, both liberal and conservative.
I would agree with you, but if a lot of the people that are being taught this stuff, I mean, are being sexualized in schools and are being
Well,
taught
when
that
you
this
say
is
a
okay.
lot of people, like, are you talking about like these anecdotal instances where, you have these crazy,
you need 10% of the
LGBT
population.
Yeah, no, I'm saying is like
that's what I mean by a lot.
What gets brought up to the forefront in news and society is the most shocking and that type of thing. Like, I think it would be a stretch to say that 10% of teachers are teaching these types of anal sex crazy things. I'm saying, like, I don't think that that's the majority of education.
Well, you know what? That's an assumption. You don't know, and you're just assuming that. And you know what? I'm not assuming that I know
We're
a number.
both assuming.
No, what I'm assuming is that this is being taught, period, and that it's accepted, and that the people that are teaching this are being protected. I'm not saying a number. I'm not assuming a number, and I'm not assuming a frequency. But what I am assuming is, listen very carefully, this is important to do this because there's a distinction. The people that are fighting against this are being punished, and the people that are supporting it are being rewarded. And that is not an assumption either. I'm not saying numbers. I'm not saying it's 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000.
I guess that the problem is you're quantifying anecdotal instances of these really terrible things, which everybody agrees are really terrible, and saying because they happen, it's happening. It's happening everywhere, or we can assume that it's a big. I guess what I'm saying is this what's the right word? Like anecdotal instances that are conflagrate or anecdotal instances do not necessarily beget a broader trend, which is to say that because something happens, it does not mean that it is common.
I'm not making any of those claims. The only claim I'm making is that that's the plan. That the goal is for that. Brock, they're trying to outlaw oil. Okay, you don't have to know why. I don't have to know why. We can just agree that there's a larger group of people.
Pause for a sec. I gotta answer this call. Second. Yeah, no, I mean, it just seems like it's everyone's just making a lot of assumptions.
Mark, I'm not making any assumption. I'm looking at facts, and the facts is that there is a fringe ideology that is being supported at a government level, and people that speak out against it are being punished. That is not fringe, that is fact. we can make assumptions about what that means. But
What
the
would
fact,
be an
but,
example of
but,
that?
but what?
What would be an example?
Teachers that are speaking out against these things in schools are being fired. Parents that are teaching out or reaching out and against this kind of behavior are being censured, or at least in England, are being arrested. This is just like in COVID. Like, now that it has ended, we can look at what was going on. It's like, all right, masks didn't work. If they did, they would have kept people in prison and put masks on them, but they released them because of social distancing. And then people in the park that were being arrested, that were out with their kids or whatever, for not wearing masks or like gathering together, were being put into prisons. And people that were going for jogs by themselves on a beach without a mask were being harassed or arrested. And it wasn't about the narrative of the media. It wasn't about health. It wasn't about COVID. It was about control. And we know that now. And what I'm saying is that what I'm trying to do is share something before the fact. We are looking at a situation where something that is absolutely crazy, it's not happening everywhere. There are school boards in like Kentucky and Tennessee that are fighting against this, that have taken over their school boards and are actively going through banning these books and taking care of like the situation. But in other places, it's not happening. In fact, it's being encouraged widely. And the fact that it happens at all is scary. And the fact that it is not being stopped on a like national scale is scary. The fact that, as an example, I mean, how many people from Epstein's where's Epstein's list? It's been 4 years. It's been over 5. It's been over 4 years.
They just there's just a subpoena that they're going to release his full list of 117 contacts.
Why hasn't it happened till now? Why didn't everybody, like, if this had happened, like if I was in Congress, I'd have been like, well, let's do it today. Why did anybody not just get that taken care of immediately?
Probably because they needed time to edit the client list.
Yeah. And what does that tell you? Who needed time?
Well, that the government is corrupt and that there's a lot of powerful people that have a lot of influence.
You're saying that there's a group of powerful people that may have been visiting Epstein's Island's, child fucker place. Yeah. And they had an influence where they were stopping the government from releasing this so they could either edit it or keep it under wraps. And you're telling me that there isn't a plan to normalize or help these people like do their stuff more actively out in the open through the massive social conditioning, brainwashing of Hollywood, the media, and social media, with porn and sex everywhere, where half of young girls, that's an exaggeration, but a lot of people want to be porn stars?
I think we've talked about this before, but I mean, like, I just generally default to, Occam's razor that, of course it's all about power, and there's, of course, people that have more power than we do, and of course people are going to try to use their power that will, to influence things that will best serve them. So, if you're if you've invested a tremendous amount of money in, solar power or oil, you're going to do everything in your power to lobby and gain favor with people who by politicians, basically, and to legislate favorably so that your company gets contracts, or your company is allowed to do X, or that you get a competitive advantage. I mean, it's just like, of course there's power, and of course there's there's agenda, and
So it sounds like you agree with me that there's a group of powerful people that are having sex with kids that have been doing it and are trying to protect themselves, and
yes.
they are deeply invested and involved in the government to such an extent that they have the power to do this. So it sounds like you're agreeing with me.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, it sounded like in the beginning when you said that's an extreme fringe movement that you were,
No, that's not what I said. When we were talking about something totally different. We
we
were
were
talking
talking about
about
making this mainstream, because one of the best ways to make your fetishes and proclivities and the grossness about who you and what you are mainstream, or to protect yourself, is to make it normal. Homosexuality used to be a capital offense. Then it wasn't like a prison sentence.
yeah.
Then it was a
But
fine. Now it's becoming a fine
we,
to speak
we
out
were,
against it.
We were talking about two different things.
We were.
We were talking about basically, society in decline, effectively with an overabundance of things and useless people with useless degrees, and they're focusing rage and whatnot, and then you know we shifted onto that there are why hasn't the list been released? Well, there's very powerful people who have lots of money and power and want to maintain their power, and probably didn't want that released because it would damage them in some way. And those are I those two topics are separate. Those powerful people can probably influence education boards and do all that stuff. I don't know what how it would benefit an investor in solar to an investor in a solar power company who wants to increase the company's value, how it would be how it would help them to create useless people, and teach whatever weird, like it from a power standpoint, that doesn't really help them. And I guess that's kind of the difference is like I think these people with power have a lot of money and they want to make more money, and they want to do that by lobbying Congress. I would argue that the stuff that we're seeing societally is more driven by culture, rather than power. I mean, like the stuff about not being able to define a woman. Like,
let's just call it demonic.
It's hold on. It seems like your postulation is that there's a plan, by very powerful people to make these things happen, and I think it is just effectively the liberal tolerant attitude towards change, where we that where we should not be accepting of certain changes, and it's, to me, it is a question of more. I mean, like, and certainly there could be very powerful people that are moving so many things, but like it is much more a cultural shift than in my mind, than a shadowy board of very wealthy, powerful figures that are saying, like, let's teach gay anal sex in kindergarten. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. It seems far more that there is we live in a society with so much abundance and effectively opulence, that we are inventing problems for ourselves, and that the issues that we're having with people being useless in society is more derived from effectively powerful people who want people to who turned college and education into a business, that wanted to make more money, that didn't care about the who were able to convince an entire generation, several generations of people, to go through a college process at higher and higher costs, and there's no risk, because it is they were able to lobby the government that said, okay, well, everyone needs to have the opportunity to go to college, and the government will insure and pay for the loan. So there was no, I mean, like, from a business perspective, like, that's why that makes sense. It's like they don't care what they're being taught. They just they own shares or whatever in the college, and they make more money. The state makes more money when you go to a state college. Private, I mean, like, that makes sense to me. And now you have a bunch of people who are educated by other useless people, who have no idea how the real world works, and they're put out into the real world, and suddenly they're shocked to discover that, not only are they useless to society, but now they are saddled with debt for life and will never have any success because they will always have to pay down this. I mean, like, that makes sense to me. What you're saying of like that there's, your hypothesis of, powerful people that are trying to shape things. It's like, I think that that's much more unlikely. There's certainly powerful people that, go to, islands and fuck children. Like, that's 100%, that 100% happens. But I just don't think that those things are directly, are completely and directly linked to, our societal collapse, so to speak. But that's just my opinion and how I see it. We just see differently on this particular issue.
Well, I think it's confrontational to say it, but you're very wrong. And I'm not
That's
saying
fine.
that I'm not saying I don't want to talk about it in terms of an opinion, and I don't want to get into a fight. It's more, I remember back with the COVID stuff about how adamant you were. And Mom and I were saying things that had, at the time, very little proof, very little approved evidence. And it took several years for you to come around. And,
well, maybe it'll take several years for me to come around this time, too.
And that's what I was going to say, too, is that, like, I remember back when I was working for Planned Parenthood, and there were people that protested or would talk about this or that, and their fear, this was back in the 90s, was that the whole sexual education in schools and all this other stuff was a way to mainstream homosexuality and sexual perversion. And that was their assumption and their fear, and they were basically destroying the foundation of decency with regards to sex in our culture. And they were right. We look at the way our culture is right now. When you introduce things to children in schools, whether they agree with it or disagree with it, they have a less disgust and less aversion to it because they've been exposed. This is a fundamental psychological practice, exposure therapy, regardless of whether you approve of it or like it. When you are exposed to it, it becomes less offensive and less viscerally uncomfortable. And the same people, these same groups, as this thing progresses, we're now at a point where people are being destroyed physically and mentally and emotionally at a young age with chemicals and with psychological brainwashing to believe certain things. And the progression of this there's only two directions, backward or forward. We can go backward towards a more conservative, traditional perspective or culture, or forward into a more perverse Sodom and Gomorrah kind of thing. And everything that I read about this is that there's a fight about it. One side is trying to return to normalcy, and one side is trying to push out into the stratosphere, making things as crazy as possible.
Yeah.
And there's a quote from Orson Welles. It was like 1984 or Animal Farm or something. But the quote is basically that when you can convince people from a young age to abstractly believe that everything could be real or truthful, then they lose their ability to discern reality. And that is one of the first steps in control and having mindless voters or servants to your thing, your fascist dominion. And this is, and maybe it's just because I have too much time on my hands, but in the Soviet Union, you were forced in schools to be grateful for the abundance that you had for whatever it was, while their grocery stores were empty. This is going on in North Korea. This goes on in a lot of different countries, and it is going on in our country right now. And the difference is that in other countries, this kind of stuff happened after they were taken over by fascist dictators. In our country, it is happening prior to it. Or we've already been taken over by a fascist oligarchy, and they are working to make sure that they stay in power through these processes by making people concerned about, are their children like targets? Can they afford to feed themselves? Is everything poisonous?
Sam's going to bed. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can hop off on a bit.
All I'm saying is that this stuff is present and real, and when you recognize there's a plan in place, it helps
Hey, Bubba.
you.
Hey, Gus, or Shay. I gotta help Gus here a little bit. He had an accident. Let's close this door before somebody goes out. No, well, let's talk a little bit more later, bud.
All right.
Okay, love you, buddy. We'll chat soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Well, we got into some pretty serious politics stuff. And I guess it's better to revisit and go through a lot of that stuff afterwards, but I don't know. Morrowind's kind of a time and place to escape all that garbage, but I guess a little bit of background about me. I have a degree in politics and philosophy, and that's actually, pretty useless as far as jobs go. But yeah, I spent a lot of my time reading articles, newspapers, watching podcasts, and watching C-SPAN, actual sources of what's being said instead of reports on it. And I don't even know where I am. I was just wandering. I don't know. When the people that have been right about everything and attacked for it are saying something, and they're being attacked again for the same reasons that they are crazy or fringe, as one calls it. I'm not saying to believe, I'm saying that one should listen very carefully to what's being said. Because, this might get me killed, but, so, like I was watching it was an interview, it was like a small documentary about, this place in Haiti, I believe, where these people were working, it was like an orphanage, like an adoption program for the States, and, they basically worked for the Clinton Foundation, and they had stopped working with them because they were not able to contact the children that had been adopted by the foundation and kind of moved to the United States, right? And so they went and met with the representatives of the Clintons or whatever, several of the people who had done this, and they had all been killed. And so the new people that had taken over had refused any more contact, refused to continue the process, and they were just telling their story about what had happened. And, you start looking at all these things, like Oprah and her movement of children from Africa to the United States, and then the connection to Epstein, and the Epstein visiting Bill Clinton 16 times in 8 years, and you go through all these steps, and you're like, whether it's a conspiracy about 9/11, or the banks laundering drug money, or our testosterone being destroyed through our food, which is why everyone's, testosterone is down 80% from where it was in the 50s. There's all these theories about why it's happening, but what you have to start with is what is actually happening. There's a massive human trafficking and slavery and sex trafficking ring for the entire world. Open borders assists in helps with that. The sexualization of children helps with that possibility of making children more vulnerable and less wary. And the fact that most of our politicians and very powerful leaders and bankers have been associated with this is terrifying. But anyway, that's kind of not what we wanted to be talking about. We're talking about other things like. But it's really funny to talk with him because he'll say like, I disagree with you and I think that's exceptionally fringe, and then in other words he will basically agree completely with what I'm saying, just in different terms. And it's very frustrating because really the only thing we were disagreeing about is that there was an active plan. I was like, well, you don't have to have an active plan, you just have to utilize and make small changes here or there and keep pushing, and that's what causes societal and cultural change. Like, why do we have a culture that is the way that it is today? Why do we have people that value what they value today? Where did it come from? And if it was fringe originally, these beliefs about changing society or the sexual revolution, why are they not fringe today? What supported it? What was the arm that pushed all of this new culture and ideology on people? It didn't just come out of nowhere, and it wasn't just random. And it was supported by a lot of powerful people that benefited from it. So whether it's an actual plan or not, I don't know. But we're going to take a break because I walked a long way without really knowing what I was doing. Our goal was just to explore this coast and go to the Urshikalaka and get that other Propylon index, because why not? Alright.